Oh, I bought another one, guys. What was I thinking? Tim the Blacksmith, welcome here. So about 2 years ago, I picked up this tool called a pneumatic upsetter, and I loved it so much, I bought another one. So before I get this upsetter on the shop floor, I gotta quickly get some wood to stick under it. So I'm heading over to my friend Joey's place. He's gonna help me out with quickly putting some wood together for underneath it. That's awesome that Joey gave me that. That's gonna be for the second machine to sit on here. Set it up right there. Looks like a bird was using it for a pooping stool. Looks a little more rusty than I thought it was gonna be. First gear, old truck can barely make it up this hill with this bad boy on the back. There it is, all set in, ready to rock and roll. Okay, not quite. So what these machines were designed to do was to actually make jackhammer bits and tooling. This is a good example of what it would have been used for. So you can make this collar in here, and then you can also make these ends in here. This machine actually, if you look at it here, it's almost set up like the tooling in there that would be the end that you would be making. This is another one. You would do the collar, and then you would, this would be for trimming the end like that. I mean, even look at that, hey? Almost made for that kind of thing too. I feel like I don't really need to spend a lot of time talking about how it's used because you've seen me use this in so many videos, but this thing goes up and down, so use it clamping or cutting, whatever you want. And then on the back here, you can kind of see there, that's the part where you actually do the upsetting. That's why it's called an upsetter. You stick this through, and this is the mother of all jackhammers on the back here, and this head drives and pushes the steel hot into there. So I actually don't use any of this function of it. I'd love to play with that. I have ideas for projects I'd like to do with that. But anyways, I just use the clamping part because that's wild. So like 2 years ago, I made the first video of when I bought this machine, and at that time, this one was for sale. It was a pair, right? I didn't want to buy two because I didn't know what I was getting into. I'd never seen this machine being used before, so I didn't know if it was going to work for me. So fast forward to now, 2 years later, and these machines are incredibly useful for the work that I like to do, specifically making the axes. The best way that I feel like to describe this machine is a hybrid between a power hammer and a hydraulic press. So we're gonna set the second one up to be doing the Blackhawk hatchets, hopefully, or basically both of them are gonna be set up to be making the axes. So what we're gonna do now, actually, let's look at a little bit of the differences between the two machines. They were a pair because this is 25D and that's 26D, so that's pretty neat. I'm kind of thinking that maybe this one's older because one of the great things about YouTube is somebody in the comment section said, hey Tim, there's a guy on eBay that actually sells a manual for one of these. So I bought that. We'll maybe take a look at that later because it is very interesting. This one is how the manual shows it with the oiler. So this oiler has two access points where this is where you put the oil in. I'm gonna check that. Maybe you put oil in there too, I'm not sure yet. I don't think so though. And this one is different where it only has the oiler at the back. And then also this one, the lever here, it doesn't have a counterweight on it, whereas this one has a really big counterweight. So that'll be fun to see how that works. This one has the grease nipple on the top there to grease this part, and this one does not. It actually has it right here. And then there's also a grease for the main piston here, whereas on this one it's different. It actually has a whole case. I guess it's a case canister that's full of grease, but you do put it in from there. After looking at the manual and all the parts in it, oh man, I wish like crazy we could just take this apart and do a rebuild on it. But Power Hammer is calling my attention for the rebuild, and I'm also super excited to be showing you what's going on with that very soon. Some serious open heart surgery has happened, but that'll be for a different video. So let's get this thing set up. So first up is we're going to be bolting this machine down to this piece of wood. So what I'm going to do is, I didn't drill all the way through the wood. I just made a little cavity and I'm just going to glue that in there. This doesn't even have to be tight. The manual says specifically not to. It's just to keep it on the pad so that as it moves around a little bit, you know, it doesn't come off the pad. So next up, we're going to hook up the air line. This is the air tank that I'm using right now that goes right to the upsetter. I'm also going to hook up at some point this thing. You may recognize that. It's a little bit unfortunate. The air compressor is on the other side of the shop, and I should run a huge line over to here. I haven't done that, so I just use a small line. There's another tank about that size on the other side of the shop. So the air compressor and that tank run over to a smaller line, and then that's just basically a bladder system over there. So what I'm gonna do today is I've decided is this is gonna run to this machine, and then I'm just gonna go another line and we'll hook into this one. And then I'm gonna buy some ball valves, and I'll have them here so I can either turn one machine off. I can decide what machine gets the air, because sometimes I might not want to run both at the same time. I'm just going to put this right here because the upsetters leak and I always lose the air overnight or shorter. So I figured I have it. I'm going to throw that in right now, right there, and then we'll keep going down. Okay, I'm going to start hooking up the line here for running between these two guys. So it looks like I'm short a whole bunch of parts. So I'm gonna order that, run to town, get back to shop and try to get this all together. All right, I'm back. Let's get this done. So the bottom line here, this 1/2 inch line, is actually the drain. I've just put that together here and then here, and then this is just gonna go out and I'll get a catch pail out there to catch it. It catches a lot of oil and water. It's nasty stuff. But anyways, that way we just easy, end of the day, flip that, drain it out. I know it'll collect a little bit of water in the low spot here, but I'm hoping that'll be okay. So I'm just gonna finish up all the hose clamps and then we can get back to focusing on this. So you might be wondering, Tim, really all of this work for this exhaust system? So if you don't have it, I don't know if you can see that on the power hammer. It's like literally dripping with oil. And that wall back there, when it's closer too, it gets wet too. That's because this thing just sprays oil out. So this is gonna help everything be better. Very first thing I'm gonna do is just pound it with some grease to flush this out. See the grease coming down there, starting to come out there, coming out there. So it's a good start. Just gonna open up these oiler ports and see what's going on in here. Here you can see some of that wool in there. I'm just gonna leave that for now. Maybe I'll get some new stuff. We're gonna put a lot of oil in it. This is just 30 weight non-detergent. We are gonna put a lot in there. All right, let's fire this thing up and see how it works. Uh-oh. This is a device to help blow scale out. I think it's leaking. Probably this. This is the lever that's supposed to control that. It's probably stuck open or something. I'm just gonna put some more power on it, and we'll just see if that sort of, with pressure, stops or something. There we go. That's better. This thing just popped up there. So I have pumped just a ton of grease through this thing to try to flush it out. And just starting to see some new grease come in there. I don't know if you can see that there. And this joint doing this too. It's actually looking surprisingly good, so that's really great. So I got the grease cleaned out, and I'm actually really happy with how clean the main cylinder is. Like, it's not perfect, right? But it's actually way better than it was before I started using this. There's still good clean steel there and stuff. So I think that's okay. So I'm gonna take all this tooling out and set it up for the Blackhawk hatchet. But before I take it out, I wanna try this ramp die. I'm really excited to see how that works, because that's something I've been meaning to make for both the Hudson Bay and the Blackhawk hatchet. So let's try that out. Oh yeah, that's solid. Whoops, that's my bad. Interesting. Look how awesome that turned out. That's not gonna work for an axe, but the potential is just so real. Trim it. It's so awesome. I'll tell you right now, you do not want to stick your fingers in that bad boy. Man, that is something else. So what I'm going to do now is take this tooling out, and I'm going to start putting in my tooling for the Blackhawk hatchet. But unfortunately, that's going to be next week. So I'm going to end the video here. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.